This right here used to grow the biggest sweet potatoes. All this down here. She was planting her sweet potatoes. Right on that edge there, that's where the corn was. 3 years to a stalk. Every kind of beans and greens, and right at the edge of that right there, the turnip greens and the collard greens grow real good. It still will grow real good.
This acre of land in South Memphis has been in Clyde Robinson's family for over 80 years.
I don't know what the young people are gonna do, but I would love to see a living quarter for old peoples.
What about a playground, a park?
Well, that'll be nice. It's large enough to make anything you want to.
But the Robinson's family plot sits right on the proposed path of a 49-mile crude oil pipeline that would go straight through South Memphis. Byhalia, the company behind the pipeline, tried to buy a portion of Robinson's land from him, but he refused. So they sued him, along with 9 other landowners, in an attempt to take the land through eminent domain.
Always been somebody over here trying to take what don't belong to them. But now it's taking time is out.
This pipeline is called the Byhalia Connection. It's a collaboration between 2 energy companies, Valero, which already operates an oil refinery in town, and Plains All American. The pipeline would connect 2 existing pipelines to deliver oil from Oklahoma to Mississippi. The path Byhalia proposed winds down through South Memphis, cutting through several historically black communities. There is a more direct option, but that would cut through predominantly white, wealthier neighborhoods in the north. The energy companies say that the route they've picked is based on factors like population density and the number of vacant lots. They also say they'll compensate landowners fairly. But to Robinson, it doesn't seem fair, and so he and some other residents have decided to fight.
Good morning, Memphis. My name is Justin J. Pearson, co-founder of Memphis Community Against the Pipeline. Thank you, appreciate you.
Justin Pearson co-founded an organization that's fighting the pipeline by convincing the city council to not sell public land.
Trying to stop the pipeline.
I am from Southwest Memphis, 38109, where both my grandmothers lived and my grandmothers are no more. But I want to fight as though they are, because somebody's mother's still there, somebody's father is still there, somebody's grandparents are. It is only when you devalue the people of a place that you're willing to risk their drinking water.
Our city council is making some important decisions this morning. They're deciding on whether or not to pass resolutions opposing the pipeline.
It's not just about land. The pipeline is set to run right over an aquifer that supplies clean water to over 1 million people. Byhalia claims the pipeline will be built 4 feet underground, and that is a safe distance above the aquifer. But the EPA has linked both companies to several large oil spills in the past, and many residents don't feel like they can take the oil companies at their word. And that distrust is particularly deep in parts of Memphis that bear the brunt of environmental pollution.
Depending on where you live in Memphis, you will live longer, you will live healthier, you will live a happier life. For 60 years, coal was burned in this community. Currently, Valero's oil refinery is burning in the community. A steel mill is burning in the community. So this pipeline is one example of environmental racism that Westwood and Boxtown have faced for decades.
About that name, Boxtown. It got its name in 1863 from how it was built. The previously enslaved people who settled here didn't have any building materials, so they used old trains.
They took the boxcars and built a community here, and everyone took care of each other. A lot of people worked their whole life to own a little piece of land.
Residents in Boxtown say they've dealt with toxic fumes for decades, from nearby steel refineries, food processing plants, and petrochemical plants. Industrial sites in this part of town account for almost 94% of all the air pollution reported in the greater Memphis area.
The word is always out. Why don't they pull themselves up by their bootstrap? Well, we trying, but every time we get them almost up, here come something else.
Batzel Booker has lived here his whole life and leads listening sessions on his community's concerns.
Mans, could you remove your covers? We come to you, Father, as humble as we know how. When everybody said that Boxtown was the path of least resistance, Father, you said, not my children. We believe you.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
I want to be a rock in these politicians' boots, not to hurt them, but just to keep them on their toes.
I've been out here 45 years, my husband and I, and we love our land, but they are trying to take it.
This community is the pushover for everything that don't nobody else want.
In our neighborhood, we wake up in the morning, you can't breathe. We have stomach issues, we have asthma, and we don't know why. And you probably can smell it in the air now.
So they just thought that the most harm it could do was just smell real bad. But that's not the most harm that it really did.
Scotty Fitzgerald grew up in a neighborhood near Boxtown. A University of Memphis study found that the nearby industrial sites could explain why residents here are 4 times more likely to get cancer than the national average. Fitzgerald didn't know that growing up, but she always knew something was wrong.
You could actually see the chemical company from our house. You could look over across the way and see it. See the pipes and the smoke going. Even the scripture says we're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And a lot of them didn't know that with these chemicals came toxic poisoning. They didn't know. Everybody that lived in that house right there on Alta, Alice, Aline, Annette, Jesse, they all died with breast cancer. Paula Sanford and her sister, they ended up with breast cancer. 2 sisters in the same house. They were young women. They were not older, some in their 30s, some in their 40s. My mother was in her 40s when they discovered she had breast cancer. She had to have a mastectomy.
Fitzgerald owns land that was given to her by her mother, who bought it when very few black women own land. Now she's fighting in court to keep it from being taken through eminent domain and used for the pipeline.
They sent me a packet. We want so many feet, and then when we get it, nobody can come from generation to generation to generation to ever reclaim it. This is the thing they wrote me. Sign here. Who are you to say that to me? After my mother worked, where were you when they were hungry? Where were you when she sacrificed her food sometime? So many billion a year they'll be making, and they offer people peanuts. My mama worked her fingers to the bone. I never seen my mother not working. Never. She worked her whole life. They felt like that we were just gonna roll over. But some people would rather die, fight and die, than to live like this anymore.
There's a spirit in this place, and it's one that I have been able to witness, particularly as this movement builds, in the landowners and in the community members who say, we will fight Goliath. Took a lot of courage, though, to go from dealing with sheep to taking on giants. And you know how the story ends. Goliath loses.
The city council was set to vote on an ordinance against the pipeline.
That we do have an ability to affect the route of this pipeline.
Mr. Pearson, good to see you again. The floor is yours.
We know that injustice exists, and we know that that impact is oftentimes felt by those who are lower income and low wealth. And this opportunity that you all have today is creating justice.
All right, with that, all hearts and minds are clear. Next for roll call vote on this ordinance.
Pearson and his brother Keyshawn watched as the council unanimously voted to protect the aquifer.
Councilman Warren.
Aye.
Chair Smiley.
Aye. With that, this body stands with the people.
Oh my God, bro! Proud of you, man. Good job. Good job.
The city council has since voted not to sell public land to the pipeline and to create a set of ordinances to protect the aquifer. But that doesn't do anything about the lawsuits that Byhalia has opened up against landowners. Legal experts say that disputes like this could last for years, and neither side is backing down. Vice News reached out to Valero, Plains All-American, and Byhalia several times for comment. They never responded.
Days before Dr. King came to Memphis, he said the movement lives or dies in Memphis. We know what happened here right behind me, where a person attempted to kill that movement.
We would not allow you!
I remember the legacies of so many people whose lives were taken from distant lands and cross a difficult sea to get to this shore. Their spirits were unbreakable.
There's a storm on the mountain and it's moving.
And so no matter what this company is trying to do, we're going to keep fighting.